Hey, welcome back, nostalgia fans. Today, we're going to take another trip, but this time into the land of forgotten TV misfires, exploring the early days of the WB. A few of you even predicted that this was coming in the comments of a previous video, so of course, we had to deliver. Let's start by setting the stage. It's 1996. The WB network is still brand new, still figuring out its own identity, when Seventh Heaven suddenly becomes its first major hit. Not long after that, Buffy the Vampire Slayer stakes her place in pop culture history, and Dawson's Creek arrives to teach America about big emotions, forehead bangs, and oh so dramatic dockside whisper crying. And just like that, the WB becomes the home of brooding teens and very serious love triangles. But if we rewind just one single year, things looked totally different. In 1995, the WB launched its first slate of original shows and almost immediately faceplanted the landing. We're talking sitcoms that vanished faster than a Blink-182 breakup, dramas that couldn't hook viewers even if they borrowed Buffy's crossbow, and pilot episodes that just disappeared so fast you'd need slow motion just to notice that they existed in the first place. So grab yourself some Bagel Bites, and hey, grab me a Surge soda if you can still find any of those. Dust off your butterfly clips and get ready, because we're going to count down WB's biggest, boldest, and most bewildering flops from the 1990s. The shows that were aiming to be Dawson's Creek and landed somewhere closer to Dawson's Puddle. Let's jump into that. And we start off with Hyperion Bay, 1998 to 1999.
No, a gentleman isn't supposed to... Stop looking at me like that.
I'll look at you any way I want. I was almost impaled on your cigarette lighter just now.
I'm sorry about that. You know, this car obviously has some you-specific design flaws, and I don't think the boys back in Munich thought things completely through.
Dennis!
The WB spent a lot of the late 90s chasing teen fantasies, and in 1998, the WB landed on a big one. The former nerd who comes home successful enough to make every high school bully rethink their life choices. That idea became Hyperion Bay, a drama built almost entirely on the satisfaction of a revenge glow-up. This show starred Mark Paul Gosselaar as Dennis Sweeney, a once awkward teen turned tech success story. His computer skills finally pay off, complete with a Mercedes-Benz, a Silicon Valley paycheck, and a girlfriend who looks straight out of a shampoo commercial. Dennis then heads back to his sleepy hometown to open a tech company, and he immediately learns the locals are indeed not excited about an army of caffeinated programmers in cargo pants invading their quiet beach town. The story leans into small-town tension, romantic drama, and the ultimate twist. The girl Dennis used to love is now married to his former bully, and miserable about it. The series wasn't technically a soap opera, but it came pretty close. All it really needed was someone dramatically throwing a martini across a kitchen island. And to its credit, Hyperion Bay did build a tiny but loyal audience, mostly consisting of viewers who either enjoyed romantic tension or didn't mind its occasional dial-up speed pacing. However, the show ran into trouble behind the scenes. The WB wanted something flashier and faster. The creator resisted, so the network took the classic TV approach. Just replace him. A producer from Melrose Place was brought in, and their first major change? Add Carmen Electra. And unfortunately for them, adding Carmen Electra didn't add more viewers. Ultimately, Hyperion Bay struggled not because its premise lacked potential, but more because it couldn't quite decide what kind of show it wanted to be. Small-town drama or glossy soap imitation. And sadly, this series proved whether you're chasing love, ratings, or respect, you can't force people to want you. And you definitely can't fix every problem by saying, just put Carmen Electra in there. Next up, we have the show titled 3 from 1998.
A high-end art and jewel thief. A master of the short con and martial arts. A hacker Robin Hood who stole from the rich to give to the poor. The organization's job is to protect the status quo. You three are each the best at what you do. Now you will do it for us.
A jewel thief, a hacker, and a grifter get kidnapped. Nope, that's not a setup for a punchline. This was the premise of the WB action drama titled 3, a series that turned criminal talent into involuntary law enforcement. The show starred Edward Atherton, Julie Bowen, and Bumper Robinson as 3 professional criminals recruited by a secret government agency. Their options were simple: help this government agency capture other criminals far worse than they were, or serve time behind bars. In theory, it was kind of like Ocean's 11 meets Mission Impossible. In practice, this show was more like Ocean's 11 if no one smiled and everybody just regretted their contracts. The pilot episode even delivered exactly what a late 90s action show needed: gunfire, chase sequences, and some high-stakes intensity designed to grab viewers immediately. However, after the show's explosive open, it soon shifted gears. Action took a back seat to slow-paced character drama, focusing heavily on trust issues and the emotional scars of the character Amanda, who's played by Julie Bowen. The creators clearly wanted a tense psychological thriller where every alliance felt unstable, but it kind of became a show where the characters constantly wondered, can I trust this person? While viewers quietly wondered, can I find the remote? 3 flopped so fast that 5 of its episodes never even aired, leaving its mission incomplete both on screen and naturally in the ratings as well. It was almost too on the nose. A show about criminals forced into secrecy that ended up being so hidden most audiences never even knew it existed. Criminals and hackers may thrive on staying out of sight, but television definitely doesn't work that way. And the cast and crew of 3 learned that the hard way. Rescue 77 from 1999.
Spelling and the creator of Backdraft comes a WB premiere event between the streets and the ER.
Come on, sweetie.
There are heroes.
I am going to get you out of here, but I need your help.
This happens every day. You have to get up now, walk back to the rig, and go run.
Heroes risking everything every day
I got home, man.
to help others.
You got off your high horse long enough to ride along with us, and you see what it was like out there.
And now, Christian Kane, Marjorie Monahan, Victor Brown, and Richard Roundtree in the series premiere of Rescue 77.
Television has probably produced more police series than actual police precincts. However, paramedics and fire stations were much more rare in the 90s. In 1999, the WB decided to fill that gap with Rescue 77, a drama about 3 Los Angeles paramedics stationed at, yes, Station 77. The cast would include Victor Brown, Christian Kane, Marjorie Monahan, and Richard Roundtree, meaning viewers got the unique experience of watching Shaft deliver emotional dialogue between emergency calls. The show centered on Kathleen, a paramedic returning to work after a breakdown, her partner Michael, who becomes her inconvenient love interest, and Wick, the rookie who tries so hard to impress everyone that you almost expect him to salute the fire extinguishers. What's really cool about Station 77 is the creator wasn't just guessing how firefighting worked. The creator was actually a former firefighter themselves, former paramedic, and even the writer of the 1991 hit titled Backdraft. His goal was to bring realistic, heartfelt storytelling to television. Critics, however, didn't really see much realism. According to the reviews of this show, the WB polished the concept into a glossy melodrama where emotional depth would take a backseat to attractive people standing near flames. Deseret News delivered one of the harshest assessments, calling the show overwrought melodrama, which is critic shorthand for "this cast is too pretty for this job." The show lasted a whole 8 episodes before the WB canceled it, declining to resuscitate a series that arrived looking like an emergency no one could even save. Firefighter dramas would later succeed: Third Watch, Chicago Fire, Station 19, so the subject matter wasn't the issue. Rescue 77 simply proved that a first responder series needs more than heroism, heart, and some perfect hair. It has to feel alive. Next up, Safe Harbor, 1999.
I'm looking for a runaway teenage girl. Who's hiding her?
An unexpected guest has turned up at the motel the Lorings call home.
My name is Jamie.
And the boys
What's her story?
are taking a very special interest.
What are you staring at?
From the creator of Seventh Heaven, an all-new Safe Harbor on the WB Monday night.
After Rescue 77, the WB seemed to think, if people don't want firefighters, they'll definitely want a cop. But not every series featuring a badge becomes must-see TV. Case in point, Safe Harbor, the WB's 1999 attempt at a heartwarming small-town drama centered on Sheriff John Loring, who's played by Gregory Harrison. John is grieving his wife's mysterious death, raising 3 sons, and looking after a teenage runaway. Because apparently in this town, actual crime takes a backseat or a vacation, and only troubled kids need policing. Fortunately, he gets backup from his mom, played by Rue McClanahan, who runs a beachside motel with a perfect blend of southern charm and I run this town kind of authority. Episodes bounced between believable family storylines, like teenage boys trying to get girlfriends, and plotlines that felt more like the town collectively drank bad lemonade, including an entire UFO panic. I just know somewhere out there Mulder and Scully are still laughing. Here's where things get pretty interesting. Safe Harbor actually had a dream launch. This show was produced by the same team behind Seventh Heaven and aired directly after it on Monday nights. That's like the TV equivalent of being handed a golden ticket and then using it as stationery. WTF, guys. With that kind of pedigree and lead-in, Safe Harbor should have been an easy win. Instead, it was a huge fat L. It totally sank. After 8 episodes, the WB quietly moved it to Sunday night for its 2 final episodes before canceling it altogether. The show disappeared so quickly that today it's nearly impossible to find anything about it beyond a handful of reviews, one of which famously said that the series had no discernible pulse. Ouch. When critics start calling your family drama clinically dead, it might be time to stop fighting the current. Safe Harbor wasn't sunk by competition. It simply never had a heartbeat to begin with. Next up is Klehorn, 1995.
Keela, we have to talk. You know Mrs. Durant next door? Well, when people get to be a certain age,
She's dead, huh?
Apparently for days. Woo!
In the mid-90s, Ellen Klehorn was breaking ground at Saturday Night Live as the first black female cast member to stay longer than 1 season. So, when the WB launched in 1995, the network gave her a sitcom, Klehorn. Yes, the exclamation point is part of the title, as if the show needed to shout its own name to be noticed. Klehorn played Ellen, a single mother raising her 9-year-old daughter while navigating the usual sitcom obstacles. Meddling parents and a younger sister who wants to be a model, played by future Emmy Award winner Sherry Shepherd. The show would deliver familiar and reliable plots, like a storyline where Ellen gets her daughter into a prestigious private school only for the girl to beg to return to public school, and another where Ellen attempts and fails to enjoy an uninterrupted romantic evening. It was the standard single mom sitcom type formula, just with a louder title. Klehorn premiered during the WB's first chaotic attempt at original programming, a time when the network was struggling to land a hit. The viewers certainly didn't flock to this show, and critics weren't enthusiastic either. Variety even commented that the most exciting thing about the show was its exclamation point, a printed burn if there ever was one. After 12 episodes, the WB pulled the show into hiatus and didn't air its final 3 episodes. Klehorn ended up in the same 1-season graveyard as most of the network's early comedies, proving that in 1995, the WB was still trying to figure out what worked, while most of its ideas simply didn't work. Next up is Kirk, 1995 to 1996.
This is so cool. The 4 of us kids living here with no grown-ups. I love you, man. This is some kind of a joke, right? I mean, I'm 24. Why would someone put me in charge of 3 kids?
It was a shock to us, too.
When Klehorn went into hiatus, the WB quickly replaced it with another early network experiment, Kirk, a sitcom built entirely around America's former teen heartthrob, Kirk Cameron. He plays Kirk Hartman, a comic book illustrator living in Greenwich Village who suddenly becomes guardian to his younger siblings after his aunt heads to Florida. Because nothing says responsibility like leaving kids with an artist who probably has a whole $26 in a sketch pad to their name. The show delivered familiar sitcom storylines with equally familiar results. In one episode, Kirk tries to calm his brother about getting a tonsillectomy, only to find out he needs the same surgery himself. A Christmas installment sees him fired, his electricity shut off, and his holiday gifts all stolen. Depending on how you look at it, that's either comedy or a warning from the ghost of seasonal depression. The WB built Kirk as a star vehicle, hoping that Cameron's fame from Growing Pains would carry viewers over. They even went as far as to bring in Chelsea Noble, his on- and off-screen romantic partner, to double down on the nostalgia. And to the show's credit, Kirk survived 2 seasons, which technically makes it a success compared to most of the WB's early sitcom attempts. However, today the show is mostly forgotten, very much overshadowed by Growing Pains and Cameron's later career pivot into religious films and holiday debates. So why is this show not remembered? Well, that's because it just wasn't bad enough to become a guilty pleasure, but it also wasn't good enough to become beloved. It lived in that very specific TV limbo that most people know as aggressively mediocre. And to the WB's credit, they tried to give the show room to grow, but by 1996, the network had accepted the obvious. You really can't build a hit on nostalgia alone, especially when your biggest selling point is cozy sweater energy. Next up is Simon, 1995 to 1996.
I'd like to make a reservation for this evening. This is Bruce Willis. Demi and I are in town, and we'd like to take a couple of our friends out to dinner. They've just raved about your place. You only have a table for 2. Well, that will be fine, you see, because Demi hates to be gawked at. So what we'll do is we'll have our couple friends eat dinner inside and then bring our food to us out in the limo.
After losing everything on Wall Street, slick ex-stockbroker Carl moves to Harlem and ends up living with his brother Simon, who's described in the show's official summary as simple. Yep, the WB promoted a sitcom by essentially advertising, "Come watch this guy live with someone we're already insulting." Simon was played by Harland Williams, an actor whose entire brand was cheerful confusion, and in the show's first big twist, he randomly lands a cushy TV job. This flips the brothers' financial dynamic and also confuses anyone expecting a realistic storyline from the show. The most notable twist happened behind the scenes. Carl was originally played by Peter Dawson in the pilot, but was quickly replaced by Jason Bateman, who was 26 at the time. And true to form, still looks nearly identical today. Some actors just age really gracefully. Bateman seems to have forgotten to age at all. Because the WB didn't have enough programming for 7 nights a week, the show Simon helped fill the network's second night of original content. Viewers who did tune in were treated to situations like Carl working as a balloon salesman or Simon casually winning a boat. Story structure was usually optional. Most episodes followed a straightforward template. Simon does something strange. That was the show's entire formula. The hook boiled down to one brother being smart and the other not so smart. Unsurprisingly, audiences didn't rush to embrace the misadventures of a character introduced primarily by his lack of intelligence. The WB ordered 21 episodes but opted not to air the final 4, proving that viewers were not interested in simple Simon, no matter how hard the network was trying to convince them otherwise. Last up on our list, we have Kelly Kelly from 1998.
As chairperson, I'm going to have to deny your request. The English department cannot reimburse you for your hairpiece.
I pulled out most of my hair trying to teach Proust to freshmen. I am stressed, man.
There are other ways of dealing with stress, Paul. Exercise, meditation, suicide.
In the 1980s, Shelley Long was riding high as a key part of one of TV's most beloved sitcoms, Cheers. When she left the cast in 1987, critics panicked like someone had unplugged the entire bar. Yet, Cheers kept thriving for 6 more seasons, while Long's post-Boston career became a mix of successes and stumbles. And one of those very clear misses was the WB's 1998 sitcom titled Kelly Kelly. This show centered on Kelly Novak, an Ivy League English professor who literally falls into romance. Yeah, falling, like tumbling off a ledge and into the arms of Doug Kelly, a widowed fire chief. They quickly get married because gravity works fast, and Kelly suddenly becomes a stepmother to his 4 children. His daughter, Maureen, is especially hostile, treating her new stepmom like she's just been assigned a pop quiz that she didn't study for. Novak also adopts her new married name, Kelly Kelly, which sounds more like a children's mascot who sings about vowels than a college professor. Ironically enough, the most notable aspect of this show in hindsight isn't Shelley Long. It's actually Ashley Johnson who played Kelly's stepdaughter. She would later become Ellie in the hit video game The Last of Us and a major figure in the Critical Role phenomenon. Kelly Kelly definitely wasn't her breakout moment. The WB shifted the sitcom from Monday to Sundays after just 2 episodes aired, almost as if it was trying to outrun its own schedule. After a very short-lived 7-episode run, the show didn't simply get canceled. It kinda slipped off its own ledge and disappeared into TV obscurity. Shelley Long may have left Cheers to pursue new opportunities, but Kelly Kelly was not the triumphant return that any of her fans were hoping for. And that's going to do it for our countdown of 10 of the WB network's most spectacular wipeouts from the 1990s. Sure, the network really only stuck around for a little over a decade before merging with UPN in 2006 to become the CW, but it definitely left a mark. Sometimes with Buffy-level brilliance, and sometimes with Kelly Kelly levels of confusion. Did you tune in to watch Mark Paul Gosselaar brood over computer code and unrequited love? Were you one of the brave souls who witnessed Kirk Cameron lose his job and his electricity and all his Christmas gifts in one 22-minute episode? Do you secretly miss Safe Harbor and the vague mystery of the sheriff's possibly extraterrestrial wife? Or maybe you remember something so bizarre you can't tell if it aired on the WB or emerged from a NyQuil dream. Either way, we totally want to hear about it. Drop a comment below with your favorite or maybe most bewildering WB memory. Real or hallucinated is fine. And hey, if you enjoyed cruising through this pileup of forgotten TV experiments, please hit that like button for us, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and ring that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next joyride through pop culture chaos. Thanks so much for watching. And try to remember this, it's kind of a good life lesson here. Nobody bats 1,000. So whatever your idea is, take a lesson from the WB. Don't overthink it. Just air it and hope that the ratings show up.